Assalamu alaikum. Okay, so a very good evening to all of you. We are here to discuss some further case studies. So, if you have been watching my previous videos, you definitely know that every day we have been discussing, every evening basically, we have been discussing some of the case studies in sports nutrition. So, we have already covered some six, seven case studies. Today, we are going to discuss some further ones. And I think let's move to the case study without wasting any time. Right. So in this case study, basically we have a lacrosse player who has been practicing in 80 to 90 degrees weather. Okay, lacrosse is basically, it might be something new for you. Lacrosse is basically a sport which is indigenous to the USA, and it's a very, very old sport that is played with a lacrosse stick and a lacrosse ball. So basically, you have a stick, and at the end of the stick, you have this small net, and then there is a specific ball called the lacrosse ball, and the objective is to score as many goals as you can, just like football or maybe field hockey, right? So that is lacrosse. And okay, so the athlete has been training in 80 to 90 degrees weather. Definitely, when they say 80 to 90 degrees weather, that means 80 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you convert this Fahrenheit temperature into Celsius, that is approximately, if I'm not wrong, it must be 26, 27 to 32, 33 degrees Celsius, right? So in West, in US, basically, they normally use Fahrenheit. Okay, now the coach does give the fluid breaks during practice, but the problem is that the coach only allows athletes to consume water, because the coach is of the view that sports drinks or sports beverages, if consumed, they negatively affect the performance of the athletes. And he therefore does not allow his athletes to consume any kind of you know drink other than plain water. And as a result, what has been happening is the athletes complain of consecutive fatigue, lethargy, and they also feel lightheaded by the end of the practices, rightly so. Definitely our common sense is also telling us, because we already know from our previous knowledge that if we have to do some intense training, or if we have to train for longer duration, then what we need in between is definitely we need to refuel ourselves, and not only refuel but also rehydrate. And we cannot just rehydrate with plain drinking water, but we also need some carbohydrates along with that. So since the coach is not allowing the athletes to consume anything but the plain water, so that is why they are definitely feeling lightheadedness and lethargy and fatigue and all those kinds of things, right? I believe the athlete has not studied sports nutrition, especially at University of Lahore, Islamabad campus, though he lives in the USA. Okay, not the athlete, the coach, in fact. Okay, now first question: what are the problems in this scenario? Well, I think this is pretty much straightforward. The major problem is that the athletes are not obviously consuming any kind of carbohydrates during exercise, during practice, during workout. So that is the reason they are feeling lightheaded. That is the reason they are feeling lethargic, and all those kinds of symptoms, fatigue. And this could also result from, apart from other conditions, that could also result from dehydration, because by drinking plain water, even they are not probably getting enough water. So we know that one of the symptoms of uh, dehydration is fatigue or maybe lightheadedness. So yes, that is the major problem in this particular scenario. Question number two is, what should the athletes do to feel better throughout the duration of their practices? Well, first of all, in terms of rehydration, I think definitely they need to weigh themselves before the training and after the training, so that they actually know how much sweat is being produced by each athlete. Because as you already know, the production of sweat depends on various factors, and it varies from athlete to athlete, irrespective of the fact that they are training in the same temperature, they are training in the same weather. But still, the amount of sweat produced by one athlete, or the amount of sweat produced by other athlete, can absolutely vary. So first of all, each individual athlete has to weigh himself or herself before training and after training, so as to calculate the total amount of sweat lost, and based on that calculation they can actually calculate how much fluid they need during training. Because again, as I have already mentioned, yes, we know that they are only consuming plain water, but even they are not consuming plain water in enough quantities. First is saying electrolyte imbalance could be possible. Yes, definitely. It might be that they are having electrolyte imbalances. um, so that could also be one of the reasons. Okay, then once they determine how much they are losing sweat, then they can obviously calculate their fluid intake based on that. And if you recall from your previous knowledge, you know that any athlete should not have more than 2% um, of their body weight lost in the form of fluid during the training. So 2% is the maximum. 2% of the body weight is the maximum by which an athlete uh, would lose fluid. Otherwise, he or she would definitely be dehydrated, and other consequences will also be there. Right. One more thing, which is quite obvious here, because they have mentioned in the scenario that the coach does not allow them to consume anything other than plain water. So definitely, the athletes also need to talk to their coach. And just like you, time and again, keep on telling me that whenever you try and advocate about something uh, related to nutrition in your homes, your parents would not generally listen to you, or the elder ones would not generally listen to you. So same would be the case for the coach. So they have to tackle this situation. The athletes have to tackle the situation very carefully, basically, and they have to approach the coach, with respect and with good logic. So probably first of all, if you ask me, they should ask the coach regarding this whole concept of not letting them consume sports drinks or sports beverages. What does he think sports drinks can exactly do to an athlete? How um, does he think that sports drinks, if consumed, can actually hinder the performance of an athlete? So after that, once he gives them the logic or the concept he has, then definitely the athletes can convince him to let them drink sports beverages as well during the practice. So I think that's pretty much it. If any one of you has some additional points in this, you are most welcome to add. Okay, let's move to another case study. We have a 16-year-old high school track athlete who runs 100 and 200 meters sprints, and he wants to gain his muscle mass, and he wants to increase his strength, because definitely he wants to enhance his athletic performance. He wants to run more fast. So he has actually met several different athletes of his genre regarding what do they eat and how do they go about their nutritional and eating practices. So what happens is that his mother is generally very keen to prepare good healthy supper for him, snack for him, but he generally prepares his own breakfast and lunch, which are the major meals, and he says that those um, breakfast and lunches are not really healthy. They do not have good quality foods. So now he has recently turned to some supplements, and what he has been taking recently is a mega multivitamin or multimineral supplement. Then he is taking boron, then he's taking ornithine along with arginine, chromium picolinate, and my god, it's a bit too much. Again, he's not very knowledgeable when it comes to nutrition or supplements. So he's definitely taking a lot of these supplements. Ornithine is again an amino acid, arginine is an amino acid, boron, okay, it's a mineral, chromium picolinate. If do you remember, I taught you that chromium in the form of chromium picolinate, specifically in doses of 10 milligrams or more than 10 milligrams per day, can really cause cancer. So again, chromium in the form of chromium picolinate is not recommended at all. Even in smaller doses, it is not recommended. And then in addition, he's also taking whey protein. Imagine whey protein, number one, number two, ornithine, again amino acid, number three, arginine, again amino acid, number four, again multivitamin and multimineral, five, so six, chromium picolinate. God only knows what he is trying to do with himself. So now the questions are: number one, what would you suggest to the athlete to help him achieve his personal goal of increasing muscle mass to become a stronger, more powerful athlete? Okay. First of all, let me start, and then you will add some pointers to it as well. Number one, definitely, I would ask the athlete to start preparing some healthy breakfast and some healthy lunch. Maybe seek help from his mother, who can help him prepare some good, healthy, well balanced, nutritious breakfast or lunch. So definitely he needs to work on those choices. And secondly, he needs to, I think it is not mentioned, but definitely we can imagine that since he's taking a lot of supplements, so he's probably not having a good eating regimen. So he needs to start eating throughout the day in form of small frequent meals, small little snacks, three major meals supported with three minor snacks. So this is what he needs to do. First one is saying, can you repeat about chromium picolinate? Chromium picolinate, I have already taught you that chromium in the form of chromium picolinate can cause you cancer, specifically in the doses of 10 milligrams per day or more than that. So chromium, yes, you can consume chromium from supplements, but do not consume chromium in the form of chromium picolinate. So whenever you go to buy a chromium supplement and you read out the label and it says that they have added chromium in the form of chromium picolinate, so do not buy that particular supplement, because it is not going to be good for you in the long term. Because whenever they use these synthetic forms of minerals or vitamins, they definitely have to mention the source. For example, if you, here I'm talking about Pakistan, so if you read the label of a very famous calcium supplement brand, so they say that they add calcium from two different sources. I would definitely not take the names of those sources, but you can definitely read the label, so you know what I'm talking about. So chromium, do not buy chromium supplement if it says that the source is chromium picolinate, right? What else? Thirdly, definitely, he wants to increase his muscle mass, so he needs to start taking protein from food, I would suggest. And his calculation would be 2 grams per kg body weight per day. So if I'm not wrong, they have not given his body weight. Let me check that again. I do not see that. So whatever his body weight is, he just needs to calculate according to that, 2 grams per kg body weight per day, and that would be a very good recommendation for him. Okay, Khadija Tahir is saying stop taking so many supplements. Right, absolutely yes. Another recommendation: stop taking that. That is a lot of supplements. That is definitely going to affect his liver and kidneys in the long term. I can so say that. Number next, take healthy protein from food. Khadija is further saying, yes, that's right. Maybe high biological value proteins, or maybe rely more on soya proteins, which are which can give him, a complete profile of amino acids. Uh, Khadija is further saying, get the right kind of training. Yes, that's right. So good quality protein, good quantity of protein coupled with right kind of training. So that is definitely going to help him build his muscle mass and enhance his performance overall. Right. Most importantly, when we talk about ornithine and arginine, so again, specifically, ornithine or arginine supplements have not been found to be really effective in terms of enhancing athletic performance. So what he can do is he can take some whey protein, but not, he has no need of taking an ornithine or an arginine supplement separately. And so if he takes a good quality whey protein, that is good enough for him. Okay, Madam Tuba is saying, so while choosing supplements, how we can distinguish between good and bad ones? Madam, that is actually a complete topic. I have already taught my students. So there are few pointers which you have to keep in mind. Number one, there are two types of supplements when we say. One is the food form, natural form, and the other one is synthetic form. So first of all, you always have to try and find a natural form of supplement. That is a much better option, but that is quite expensive actually. Number two, always look for a supplement which is giving you divided doses multiple times in a day rather than one mega dose at one time. That is a better option. Number three, whenever you are buying a multivitamin, multimineral, always look for 23 nutrients. So 23 is the threshold. A multivitamin or multimineral should have at least 23 nutrients, right? So similarly, in case of vitamins, remember that fat soluble vitamins should not be a lot more than their particular RDA, because that is also not something very much recommended. Then in case of water soluble vitamins, even although they are not very uh, risky in terms of the fact that they can be excreted out of the body, but still you do not need to be consuming a lot of these. Okay, right. When it comes to minerals, minerals should not be more than their RDAs. So because minerals, the toxicity in terms of minerals can be quite fast. So that is what you should be avoiding. So similarly, if you are looking for vitamin A in a supplement, consider choosing a supplement which is beta carotene rather than vitamin A, because beta carotene is a more powerful antioxidant. Then again, do not choose a supplement which has a lot of sweeteners, which has a lot of added preservatives, colors. Sometimes they add bulking agents to the supplement, so that is also not good. Um, then always take supplements with food or maybe water, plain water. Do not never consume supplements with milk or some other beverages. uh, what else? So yes, and to be exact, the amount of each vitamin mentioned on the label, that should be between 100 to 1000% of the RD of the vitamin. I'm talking about the vitamins. So between 100 and 1000% of the RDA of any vitamin. And as I've already mentioned, in terms of minerals, do not take any supplement which has more than the RDA of a particular mineral, because the toxicity from minerals is quite quick from the supplements, right? So these are a few pointers which you can consider while buying a supplement. Hopefully you have got. Most welcome, ma'am. Okay, Manan is saying just consume calories in surplus. Take 1 to 2 grams per kg body weight protein. Yes, that's right. Keep the carbs routine 2:1. Sleep at least 8 hours. Good. Resistance training. He can take multivitamin supplements if fruits and vegetables are not in his diet on daily basis. Yes, fine, good enough. First Khan is saying again, take good quality of protein. Take 4:1 of carbs and fats. No, carbs and proteins post exercise. 4:1 should be the ratio of carbs and proteins post exercise. You probably wanted to write proteins. Drink plenty of water, whatever is the required amount of fluid. You can't just generalize it, plenty of water, but whatever fluid is required. Have 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, just probably, if that is possible. uh, okay, I was telling about ornithine and arginine. These are not really um, as good as the claims made by their brands. So he definitely does not need these. Uh, and then lastly, yes, as we already have discussed, that protein above than 2 grams per kg body weight per day is definitely not going to help him. So that is the maximum range. That is the maximum amount of protein which he should be consuming. So I think that's pretty much it. I believe we have covered all the points which he should focus on. And yes, okay. Another case we have this time, we have a male athlete who is a gymnast, and he is quite young, 18-year-old. Okay, and he competes at an advanced level, and he is looking to qualify for the next Olympics. Now what has happened is that sometimes lately he has been finding himself out of the balance, and whenever he tries to balance himself on the rings and on those parallel bars. So he finds it more difficult. And he has also gained 5 pounds over the last year, because he's quite young, he's still growing. 18 years is his age. So he thinks that the weight gain is the actual culprit, which is causing his bad performance lately. And he chooses to try a weight loss program before his next competition, which is around in 1.5 months. So he's not really sure how many calories he should consume, and he just himself on his own decides to start consuming 1500 calories per day. Yeah, so he's not really sure, he has not actually calculated, but he just wants to lose his weight. And he randomly picks a number 1500. Maybe he has read something from internet or stuff. So he is actually going to start consuming 1500 calories a day. Now, first of all, there are a few questions. Number one is, which assessments are required to determine whether the athlete needs to lose weight? Okay, well, I believe definitely we need his height, we need his weight. Then definitely we can calculate the ideal body weight which he is at based on his height. Definitely we would be needing his body frame size. What else? Body composition is something very, very important, because that would actually tell the percentage or proportion of fat that he has. Yes, height, weight, body frame size, that's right. And if the percentage of fat is within the normal range, then he definitely does not need to cut down his fat at all. And if his fat is above the recommended range, then yes, then he might or probably then he should consider losing some weight. uh, so yes, that's pretty much it. That's the kind of parameters that we would need. Okay, question number two is, what type of diet and exercise plan would you recommend for him? Hmm. Yes. What do you suggest? Since he wants to lose some weight, so definitely a moderate fat diet with a high inclusion of high fiber in that would do it for him probably. um, Again, he needs to consume good carbohydrates, good proteins. These are very, very important for him, because the uh, whole idea of gymnastics is that is basically dependent on how well you are balanced, and they generally balance using their muscles. So if their muscular strength is good, if their muscles are strong, only then they are going to um, get good balance, and they are actually judged, they are actually awarded medals and stuff on the basis of their balance whenever they land. So based on their landing, which is actually in turn based on their balance, so that is what makes them win or lose a competition. So that is very important. Good quality protein is again really, really important from a gymnast's perspective. And low fat, I'm simply saying because definitely he's looking to lose some weight, so he can cut down some calories from the fat if the body composition report tells that his fat levels are not appropriate, or they are not within the normal range. And what else? A healthy, overall healthy, well balanced um diet which he should be consuming. um, Maya is saying simply deduct 500 calories from his routine diet. Yes, maybe because he's an athlete, we would not want to cut straight away 500 calories. Maybe 300 calories to start off with, and then slowly and gradually we could go up to 500 calories deduction. But again, what is important here is that they had mentioned that he has not calculated his caloric intake. He has just reached that number of 1500 calories a day, which could be dangerous. He might be needing 3000 calories a day, which is very, very normal, very, very common for athletes. So athletes do generally need 3000 calories, 3500 calories, 4000 calories even is not uncommon among athletes. So if he starts consuming 1500 calories, and what if he actually needs 3500 or 3000 calories? So he's actually cutting down 1500 calories more than what he should cut. So that could actually drastically affect his performance, and that could bring him down actually. So Khan is saying, but he's already consuming 1500 calories. Already consuming? No. They said that he's going to start consuming 1500 calories a day, just because he has no idea of how many calories is he consuming currently, but just because he wants to reduce weight, and he has probably a general perception that the average caloric requirements of an adult is maybe 2000 or somewhere between 2500. So he just reached that number, that okay, I am going to start eating a few less calories, that's it, right? So as I've mentioned again, that could be really dangerous. If his requirement is 3000 calories, then 1500 calories per day for an athlete is definitely going to be detrimental. He is definitely going to be at loss, right? Okay. Question number 2 is, what additional concerns do you have for his health and sport performance? Well, first of all, fatigue. If his caloric requirement is more, if he's eating so less, as less as 1500 calories a day, so definitely he's going to be fatigued, he's going to feel lethargic, he's going to feel lightheaded all the time during his practice, post practice, even before practice. uh, okay, number 2, definitely that is going to hinder his performance. He's not going to perform as well as he used to perform. What else? Number 3, because he will not be consuming enough calories or enough or taking enough energy, so he could risk the loss of precious muscle mass, because definitely his body at the end of the day needs energy. So in order to have energy, the body is going to utilize protein for the purpose of production of energy. So that is going to be a loss for him as well. And maybe he could develop what you would normally say disordered eating, because he has probably become too much conscious about his body weight. uh, how can I figure that? Because he has suddenly started and taken a decision that okay, I'll be now consuming only 1500 calories a day. So there is a good chance that he might end up with some disordered eating. And disordered eating is very, yes, anorexia nervosa, to be exact. Not only the anorexia. When we use the term anorexia only, that means the medical anorexia, that is the lack of hunger, or when you don't feel like eating because of a medical problem, that is anorexia. But when we say anorexia nervosa, that is the psychological disorder which we are talking about. So yes, he might develop that as well. And anorexia nervosa, mind you, is very very common among athletes. It is very very common among those who appear on television, whether they are models or actors or persons like that, or maybe teenagers are at risk. So he is 18, he is a teenager, and as well as he is an athlete, a gymnast. And again, gymnasts are just like, not really similar to other sports persons. They are quite similar to models, because they have to maintain a very very specific type of figure, specific type of physique. So they are generally over cautious a lot of times about their physique, about their health, about their intakes. So that could be his risks as well. So yes, that's, I think, if someone wants to add more to this, or if I have missed a certain point, then you are more than welcome to add, please. Okay, right. So I don't think so anyone is going to add any more points now. Right now, let's move to the last case study. um Okay, so we have an athlete who is a cross country runner. It's just like a marathon. Okay, he's a sophomore in college. Sophomore is like, what you say, second year student we have in Pakistan. Okay, he lives in an apartment with two other athletes, and he is a vegetarian. Um, and what else? His height is 5 feet 8 inches. His weight is 135 pounds. He trains hard daily for about 1 to 2 hours. Um, and he also lifts weights twice a week. He eats some dairy, and occasionally he does eat eggs. He's a vegetarian, remember, not a vegan. He does not eat meat or fish. Obviously, we can imagine that he, being a vegetarian, he would not be eating meat or fish. But he does consume some beans, which are legumes, and frozen veggie burgers. So beans and legumes are good source of protein. So they are trying to mention that he does consume some protein. Grocery shopping, meal planning, and vegetarian cooking. These are a few things which the athlete is not really um, well equipped with. So he has not got uh, much experience of these things. So now he has scheduled an appointment with you. With you, I mean to say, with a sports nutritionist, which you will be, inshallah ta'ala, in the future. Um, so Maya is saying to repeat something. Okay, I'll repeat at the end. Okay, so now here are a few questions. Number one, what nutrients would you be most concerned about being insufficient in his daily diet? Okay, right. So, well, he's a vegetarian, so maybe I would be concerned with his protein intake, because all kind of protein he's taking from beans or legumes is the low biological value protein. So that is not going to help his cause. That is not going to help an athlete. That is not going to help him build his muscles. So definitely I would be concerned with number one, his protein intake. Then definitely it was mentioned that he takes some kind of dairy, but definitely, the way it was mentioned, some sort of dairy, some kind of dairy. So that means he does not take good amounts of dairy, good amounts of milk. Thirdly, again, I would be concerned with his iron intake, because again, being a vegetarian, we know that heme iron is the best source of iron. Heme iron is that form of iron which is more readily absorbed more by the body. And why it is more readily absorbed by the body? Because heme iron gives you ferrous form of iron more, and ferrous form is more soluble in the body. So that is the reason. Don't know if you know that or not. So if someone asks you basically, why is heme iron better absorbed by the body, so you have to simply tell him that heme iron actually gives you ferrous form of iron, and ferrous form of iron is more soluble um, form of iron in the body. So that is the reason heme iron is considered to be a far better source of iron compared to the non-heme iron. Right. So yes, protein, calcium, iron, um, and that would definitely, because he's a vegetarian, definitely we are going to respect his choice of being a vegetarian. So what we can do is we can either suggest him soya proteins, or we can either suggest him combining, you can either teach him the protein combining techniques, so that he, whatever protein he consumes, he actually tends to have that complete profile of amino acids at the end of the day. And again, he needs some regular calcium. That is also very good for his bone health, because he's an athlete. So definitely bone health is again something very, very important for him. So that is something important. Then obviously, in terms of iron, again we can, because the scenario is us based, so there are quite a few products available in the US market which are fortified with iron. So we would definitely be, for example, starting from breakfast cereals, so we would definitely be recommending him breakfast cereals which are um, fortified with iron. Aisha Shahid is saying vitamin B12, absolutely, because vitamin B12 you actually get from animal sources primarily. So that should be a point of concern for that athlete as well. So yes, maybe B12 injections or B12 supplementation could do for him. Next question is, what questions you should ask about his typical food intake to help you determine a nutritional plan for the athlete? Well, a 24-hour recall, maybe. Then along with that, how does he go for grocery shopping? How does he plan his meals? How often does he eat out? Who prepares the food? um, these are all types of questions which I would be asking the athlete basically, right? Number next, what recommendations, both nutritional and education, would you give him to help him be successful in sport while practicing as a vegetarian diet? Okay, please go ahead and give some pointers. If you want me to start, then definitely I would be giving him some. Maya is asking vitamin B9. Maybe folate. No, folate you generally get from fresh fruits and vegetables in good amounts. So that might not be really a point of concern. Okay, Khadija Tahir is asking supplements after assessment. No, I didn't get your point. Supplements. Okay, we would be recommending him supplements. Okay, yes, we might be. First of all, I think we can give him some good grocery tips. We can give him some good shopping tips. We can help him make a good list of grocery items which he should be purchasing based on where he is. Definitely he's in the US, so based on the products available in the US market, we can help him make a list of grocery items, food items which can be helpful for him. We can chalk down some good sources of proteins for him. We can tell him which food should he buy that can be good proteins for him. For example, soya milk is very very common in the US market. So as you know, soya is the only plant protein which is high biological value. So you need to definitely give him soya milk. You can recommend that would also give him a portion of dairy as well as a portion of protein. So that could be a very good option. So tofu could be there. Tofu is again a fermented product high in protein. So similarly, we can go for some dairy options, some iron options as well. Samra Munir is saying as he's lacking protein, so we will recommend him HBB, soya protein, exactly what I said. Yes, that's right. And last but not the least, maybe some good, quick, easy vegetarian meals or vegetarian snacks. Uh, we can suggest him. Right, so it's not necessary that you would be telling him how to cook those, but you can simply suggest him a few vegetarian recipes, maybe of snacks, maybe of main meals, and then he can obviously search from the internet even and start making those on his own. Okay, Maya Shah is asking vitamin A is mostly in animal liver and chicken, so might be vitamin A supplement. Yes, that could be that. But vitamin A we can also get from bright colored fruits and vegetables. So again. He can get that from red, orange, and yellow colored fruits and vegetables. That is still an option for him. So again, the more the natural, the better it is. That is always the bottom line. Okay, there is a whole lot of debate regarding vegetarian diet and sports performance. So it has been a very very controversial topic for long now. So one school of thought states that being an athlete, if you are a vegetarian, then definitely you are at a certain loss because you are not getting the high biological value proteins, and definitely your muscle mass will not be gained in a way that you would want. And the other school of thought says that it does not really matter. Even in fact, they say that being a vegetarian keeps an athlete, light on the stomach, and his performance is enhanced actually. And a few sports persons, a few athletes in the recent times have actually proven that they have gone on the record to say that they have been practicing vegetarianism or veganism even, which is a really really stricter version of vegetarianism, and they have actually achieved tremendous results in terms of their performance. Maybe if I can refer to some Indian cricketers or stuff like that. So they have actually proven that even being vegetarians or being vegans, they have their performance has not declined at all. So it's a big debate. Well, it really, if you ask me as a dietitian, it really varies from case to case, and it really depends on what your eating choices are. other than the fact that you are definitely a vegetarian. Someone is saying, I cannot read the name. Whey protein powder versus whole food protein sources, including eggs, chicken, soya. I want to ask, in your opinion, which is best for um, muscle building effects? Okay, it's a very, very good question, actually. Remember, whey protein, if you are taking it from supplement, as you have mentioned, whey protein powder, I would definitely, at any given day, I would go for the food sources of protein, because, if you have mentioned egg, if you have mentioned chicken, if you have mentioned soya, if you are taking protein from these food sources, which are excellent sources of protein, and these are all high biological value proteins. So if you are taking protein from these, believe me, you do not need any kind of whey protein supplements at all. What you need to remember is, if you want to gain your muscle, first you need good quality protein, which is a high biological value protein, which comes either from animal sources or from soya, the only plant source which is high biological value. Number two, what you need is the right kind of training. So right kind of training coupled with good quality protein and finely tuned calculated protein requirements for you. So the maximum protein which an athlete should be consuming, even if he's looking to gain muscle mass, even if he's looking to build his body, that is 2 grams per kg body weight per day. So say, for example, if an athlete is 70 kilograms, so all he needs in a day is 140, 70 into 2, that is 140 grams of proteins per day. So that is the most he needs, because a lot of research studies have been conducted which show that taking protein beyond this range does not help your um, muscle mass, does not help your athletic performance. So there is no point of consuming more protein, and consuming extra protein beyond your requirements indirectly would lead you to gain fat, because protein could be, if it is surplus in your body, it could be converted into carbohydrates. When carbohydrates are excessive in your body, they are converted into fats, they are stored in the fat cells. So protein, eventually, if you consume too much protein over a longer period of time, it could eventually end up as your fat, which definitely an athlete does not want. So I do hope that you have got your answer. Mahesh is saying, can we give nutritional recommendation like include a variety of protein-rich plant food like nuts, seeds, legumes? Yes, that's pretty much it. Yes, again, you are talking about protein combination. So yes, that is what you should recommend him. Um, I also gave you example yesterday, like whenever we cook lentils, it is a very good idea to cook 3 4 lentils together, because that would actually complete the amino acid profile for the athlete. Samra is asking, will protein supplements or sports drink help this athlete to fulfill his protein needs? Can be recommended. Protein supplements can be recommended if he cannot fulfill his protein requirements from his foods, because when being a vegetarian, the choices are definitely less. We can recommend a protein supplement, um, but obviously we have to first try and fulfill his protein needs from the foods, and then if it's still not possible, we can suggest him. Okay, sports drink for protein requirements, not really. Sports drinks are generally helpful in fulfilling your carbohydrate requirements. They do have proteins. I'm not saying that they don't have proteins, but they're not generally meant to fulfill your protein requirements. So at the end of the day, you have to obviously calculate all the protein coming from maybe sports drink, some protein supplement, and whatever kind of protein you are consuming from food. So at the end of the day, in order to calculate the total protein of a day, you have to add all these protein sources, right? So I think that is pretty much it. It was once again a very, very good session. I really enjoyed it. I do hope that you have enjoyed it as well, and most of all, I do hope that you have become more independent and efficient at solving some case studies specifically related to sports nutrition, because as I always say, these are the types of things which really help you in your professional life as a nutritionist or as a dietitian specifically. So if you have liked it, do hit the like button. And this was the last video in this series basically. I would also be coming up with some meal plans for athletes specifically, because when we talk about athletes, they have tremendous caloric requirements, they have additional protein requirements. So whenever we do meal planning for athletes, it is a little bit different compared to the regular conventional meal planning. And again, as you have seen in this particular case, quite a few athletes have turned vegetarians or vegans in the last few years or so. So you definitely need to know the art of making a vegetarian meal plan as well. So that is something which is really, really important. And I would, inshallah, be covering. It's my, you know, target down the road. I would like to share meal plans of different caloric requirements, maybe 3000, 3500, 4000, 4500, maybe, and both for vegetarians and both for non-vegetarian athletes. So if that happens, that would be something very, very good for you. And most importantly, whenever you make a meal plan, definitely you have to consider your particular scenario, definitely you have to consider where you are working, definitely you have to consider where the athlete is coming to you. So if for example you're working in Pakistan and you have a consultation of a Pakistani athlete, then that is definitely different. We have to recommend him something which is Pakistani, which is traditional, which is local. We cannot just ask him to start consuming soya milk on daily basis. He might not have the money to afford soya milk on daily basis, or he might live in an area where soya milk is not available, or he might even not understand what soya milk is. So definitely then we have to rely more on traditional foods. And similarly, if we talk about our neighboring countries, so their majority of the people are vegetarians or vegans. So if we have someone from that particular side, so then definitely we have to respect those choices as well, and then we have to formulate a meal plan accordingly. So that is what I am looking to teach you, inshallah ta'ala, in the coming lectures. So I would definitely have, again, it would require some good bit of time, because as I've mentioned, you have to make a separate meal plan for vegetarian, a separate for non-vegetarian. Then because athletes have tremendous caloric requirements, so making a meal plan for someone with a caloric requirement of 3000 or 4000 or 4500 or 3500 calories is not simple. You cannot easily complete all the serving sizes. So that, inshallah, I'll try my best to teach you. Summarize saying thank you, so it really helped a lot. Okay, I'm obliged, most welcome. I am really happy if I was able to clarify some further concepts of yours. So right, I think it's also time for Maghrib prayers. That was pretty much it in regards to sports nutrition case studies. This particular live stream is definitely going to be there on my YouTube channel right after this ends. So do inform your fellows as well, so that they can watch this video clip as well. Okay, so until next time, inshallah, take care, stay at home, stay safe. We'll meet next time, inshallah. Stay safe, Allah.